This is WICR.
Hello and welcome back to Lights Out Sports Iona College. It is now 12:21 p.m. I'm your host, Rob Ricardo, joined with me, Terrence Taylor, and a guest appearance today, Mr. Brendan Clark. Brendan, happy to have you on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, guys, we just talked about Mike Budenholzer winning Head Coach of the Year for the Atlanta Hawks. We talked about the MVP situation. I felt like today, let's get into the Eastern Conference playoffs. Starting off tonight, you have the Celtics and Cavaliers on TNT at 7 o'clock. Head-to-head, Cavaliers up in this series 1-0, and I mean, guys, pretty much in the first game, we saw Cleveland just dominate. Kyrie Irving shooting an 11 for 21 performance, scoring 30 points. And you know what? This is what LeBron James needs. Somebody taking the load off for him. Somebody really helping this team. And I really see them doing work right now. Kevin Love, though, I mean, still struggling, shooting 5 for 14. I mean, he finished with 19 points and 12 rebounds, double-double. But he really needs to get hot, because if all three of these guys work together, especially with their other role players as J.R. Smith, Timothy Mozgov, Sean Marion, and Tristan Thompson, this team's going to be tough to beat going down the stretch.
I definitely agree. I actually enjoyed what James Jones did coming off the bench, hitting big shots. So that's great. And it's great that LeBron has some help finally, compared to that Miami team that he had last year. But I think he actually enjoys having it, because like all the years LeBron has been playing in the league, he's never really had an efficient point guard with him. What back when he was with Cleveland, what was his point guard? Who was his point guard before?
Mo Williams.
Mo Williams. He did pretty great though, but he's not Kyrie Irving though.
He had Eric Snow too, but Eric Snow is nothing special. Eric Snow was only decent when he played for Philadelphia.
Exactly. Then he went to Miami. He had Mike Bibby and Mario Chalmers, and that's nothing. Now he has Kyrie Irving. It's great. I think LeBron's actually enjoying it.
I think one thing about it is that he's going to a point guard who's already established before he was there. He's a first-round first pick. You have 2 first-round first picks on the same team doing great in the starting 5. And then Kyrie, he played for the USA team. He's coming in the clutch. And I think that one thing that Jalen Rose hit before one of the games came on was that it's about we now. It's not about these individual stats. It's about the best player on that team situating, getting everybody around and sharing the ball. Because I saw how that first game, Kyrie's debut, 30 points. Him and LeBron James, 50 points together. LeBron James only scored 20. But the fact of the matter is they had enough, and the bench produced for them to end up with, 113 points at the end?
Yeah, 113.
Yeah, 113 points, and then just 2 people scoring 50. You just shows you how much the weight of LeBron James has just eased off, and how everybody's getting the touch of the ball and everybody's really producing.
I mean, especially now, we look at it. Yes, LeBron's in his early 30s, but LeBron has put in a lot, guys. We look in the past with playoff series, how many minutes LeBron's had to log in, because LeBron's been the true leader for his teams.
I mean, that last game, he logged in 41 minutes, though.
I mean, yeah, it's 41 minutes.
But he had help, though. That's the thing.
I feel down the stretch, since all these guys are kind of fitting in, helping out, this could actually be good. Rest LeBron, because you know what? If you rest LeBron James, think of what he could do if he plays the Bulls next. Or if he plays Atlanta Hawks later on, or San Antonio Spurs. He's going to be really dangerous out there. You don't want to outplay him now, especially versus the Boston Celtics. This is a team they should sweep in 4 games. You want to try to limit LeBron James to maybe 35 minutes to 38 minutes. Can't be logging in 41 every game. But if these guys continue to roll, they're going to be dangerous to watch going down the stretch.
Yeah, I definitely agree, though, because now he doesn't have to take the ball up as much. He doesn't have to set up the offense as he always does. Like, he can swing the ball out to Kyrie, J.R. Smith, do some isolation plays if he wants. But, LeBron's always going to do his thing. He's always going to be trying to run the offense, though. But now that he has so much help on his team, the load is off of him. He doesn't have to be the one scoring all the points. He doesn't have to be the one always trying to get the rebound. He can actually stay back. And he can actually stay back on offense. That way, if the team is coming down, he's back on defense, though. So, I like it, though. So, the
one argument that people might put up now is that if you watch Kyrie Irving's game and see what he's done for the season, is he actually a point guard now? Because I've heard a lot of description about how he could be actually a 2. Just from the way he's able to score and pass. Yeah, just his scoring ability. Like, you don't really see that. You can't really say a point guard who scores is an actual true point guard. I mean, Stephen Curry, you see what kind of things he can do in the passing range. But regardless, Kyrie Irving, I think he's the person who's gonna have to step it back a little bit and just know that when he gets the ball, it's time for him to score. Because LeBron James, just like you're saying, with this rest factor, I think the one thing that he'll have to do is play point. Because he wouldn't want to keep driving and score. Like, he'll do it, he'll get the flashes, he'll get the fast break points. But overall, he's the number one director. I've seen a couple games with him where he's able to he's very vocal. Like, it's something that you don't really see in a lot of people, even in the MVP race right now, who's doing that but him. And he's putting up still MVP numbers. Even though he was like fourth in the race, I believe Steph Curry's got to get it. But LeBron James, he's still just a great person to have. And with playing that many minutes the first game with the Celtics, it does speak a lot. I think it sets a trend for what he's going to have to do for the rest of the playoffs.
But you also got to realize that with the league now developing, like, the NBA has evolved to a league where the point guard is now like the main scorer for like almost every team. You see it in Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, Stephen Curry, Kyrie Irving. It's just like that now. That's how the league is now, basically, with the point guards. So, but you're right though. Kyrie Irving should take a step back. Like, I love Kyrie Irving as a point guard offensively, but you got to talk about defensively. He's not the greatest. He's not the greatest, defender out there. Because, you see Isaiah Thomas, 22 points, shooting 6 for 14. So, you got to just question, like, Kyrie's great on offense, but is he able to slow down and, be as productive defensively?
Mm-hmm. That's one of the biggest questions around the Cavaliers. But, I mean, definitely should be a series they'll easily sweep. I have them playing the Bulls next. That should be a 7-game series. We have another game for tonight, though, the 8 o'clock slot. Wizards versus Raptors. Wizards obviously taking game 1 last game. And, I mean, guys, it's going to come down to, we look at last game's performance. Lowry and John Wall combined 7 for 28 shooting. It was just god-awful out there. I think it was 83-79 for game 1. And, I mean, if those guys don't get rolling, it's going to be an ugly series down the stretch. I mean, I'll just give it to them. It's game 1. But John Wall and Kyle Lowry are the most important aspects to their team. And if these guys don't get hot, I don't know who they're going to go to next. You can't continue going to Paul Pierce because Paul Pierce has in and out nights. Same thing with Bradley Beal. Toronto, DeRozan fell off the face of the earth to me. And I really don't know how the series will actually play out. I actually had this as a series where I could see the Wizards going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and now I'm actually really disgusted with this team.
I agree with you. DeRozan and Kyle Lowry combined shot 8 for 30. 8 for 30, with Kyle Lowry shooting 2 for 10, DeMar DeRozan shooting 6 for 20. That is just god-awful. I definitely agree with you with that. So I actually thought we would have a great matchup, but you're right. It's only the first game, though.
Yeah, give it a chance. Just wait on it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see how it adjusts. But like as of right now, today though, like we're hoping Toronto. Like we're trying to see Toronto win because you cannot let Washington come in and take 2 games on your home court. Yeah. You cannot do that because then you have 2 games away at Washington and.
Washington will easily close it out.
Exactly. Washington will just sweep the series though. Mm-hmm. But you're right though. Like we just have to see how it goes today. Who wins and whatnot.
I see this going to like a game 6, game 7. It just was one of those. It's one of those things where I looked at the Eastern Conference. I was like, okay, this person's gonna win. This is gonna win. But once I actually see the games, I'm actually saying to myself, okay, I could see this actually going for a longer period of time. Because I think that both teams are actually battle. It was a really tight knit game. Their field goal percentage for Washington in the first game was 39%, and Toronto was 38%. I mean. They both have to really step it up. I don't know if it was nerves or whatever, but for me, I would want Toronto to just keep moving forward only because I like that they have this whole country aspect behind them. Just that whole, the fans.
We the North motto.
Yeah, it's just awesome to have and just to see them move on in playoffs. I mean, you got to see the truth, Paul Pierce come out in the clutch sometime down the road because that's just what he does, They're chanting, boo, Paul Pierce, but then he comes in the clutch. It's like, what are you going to do? So I see this really being a tough series. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm excited for the next game.
Yeah, because, I'm just saying, like, you always see that the 4th and 5th seed. Every time you look at the playoff bracket, you just be like, oh, this is going to win, this is going to win. Every time I look at that 4th and 5th seed, I just shake my head because it can go either way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sticking with Washington in this one. I really felt that in this season, it was different for me. From what I saw from Toronto last year, where they were a team that showed that they were something special with them. This year, DeRozan goes down with that groin injury, and everything from they started off hot from the start. Don't get me wrong, but everything slowly declined over time, and that's why I don't see Toronto lasting. Toronto's a team that they have their issues, they have stuff they have to fix, and I see Washington beating them in about 5 games.
If John Wall doesn't get 7+ assists each game, they're not winning. Because he's the main person going to have the ball. He's the one with the speed that could really open up the floor and get somebody an open shot or a layup or anything of that nature. But if he's not being efficient passing the ball and getting a lot of turnovers, then Toronto's just going to run up and down the court on them. It's going to be a really tough game for him.
The thing with Toronto, though, you're going to have to stop Bradley Beal and Paul Pierce, because Paul Pierce, I'm sorry, Paul Pierce is one of the greatest leaders, one of the greatest vocalists out there right now, and I feel that if you can't stop a guy like him, first of all, Paul Pierce knows how to control a team. Paul Pierce has the experience. He's been to the chip. He's won his championship. And a guy like him is somebody that you consider a real bad enemy, because once a guy who can fully control his team and can really help them, especially vocally. Being vocal is the most important part when it comes to playoffs and everything, because you need that vocalist guy, the guy who keeps everybody going. You know, I read an article going back about Paul Pierce. He said with the Nets, there wasn't that urge to, we could compete for championships after the Garnett and him trade. And he basically had to continue taking that role to help guide this team. So I think Paul Pierce will be the outcome in the big decision of who wins this Raptors series between them. Another
thing for Toronto, like for them to win is they need to stop the two bigs, Nene and Marcin Gortat, down low, because I realized that Toronto, like, they have a lot of people that space out the floor, because a lot of people can shoot threes. Even the big man, Patrick Patterson, can shoot. Terrence Ross can shoot. So they have to stop. They have to, like you said, they need to take advantage of the people that they have, the power forward in the center, by spacing them off the floor. Get Marcin Gortat and Nene out of the paint down low. That way you can create some options for Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan.
I think for me, if I was a coach, I'd try to put them two in foul trouble, because both of them are just too big from the paint for me to try to even drive.
Gortat and Nene, right?
Yeah.
They need to separate. Yeah, you need to separate them. Take them out of the paint. Make them go outside. Patrick Patterson can easily shoot a 3. So whoever's guarding him, that takes one factor. Takes one factor out of the paint.
Hey, we've seen in playoff series, especially, with Roy Hibbert in the playoffs, we've seen what people have been able to do to big men like that, where you remove them and make them play the 3, especially versus Miami Heat with Chris Bosh. So if Toronto's able to do that, get the big men out there, definitely will be able to compete in this series.
I hope nobody's like Roy, though. Roy was just,
we can't really compare Roy Hibbert to anybody in the league right now.
7 foot something, no rebounds.
Roy Hibbert before last year, I don't know what happened. He had like a bad dream or something.
First off, I question when Roy Hibbert even went to the All-Star, because he only had like 10 points, 10 rebounds, and you're making it to the All-Star. I'm like, that's not all that impressive for a 7'1" center. Like, I can't compare Roy Hibbert to center as anybody. Like, that's not even.
If you go back though 2 years ago, he dominated Miami.
Yeah, because Miami didn't have a big man. The big man was Chris Bosh.
Miami never had a big man and never had a point guard.
The big man was Chris Bosh. That doesn't count. Like, of course,
Chris Bosh counts.
All the big men took advantage of Miami, though.
Chris Bosh counts.
We saw that during the finals.
He counts when he could take them on offensively and shoot that little, mid-range shot. That's where it counts.
But for Miami too, like, all the big men took advantage of them. Every time. Even Thiago Splitter took advantage of it during the finals last year, and it makes no sense. It's Thiago Splitter. It just makes no sense. So Miami doesn't count. They never had a big man. Chris Bosh, he was a stretch 4, okay?
How far will the point guard? If you look at the how they didn't have a big man, and you could argue that Mario Chalmers wasn't exactly the best point guard.
He wasn't.
So how crucial would it be for the point guard? Okay, how would the point guard position really change this playoff season? Because I know we have a lot of all-stars. We have a lot of big players holding the ball right now at the one spot. But will that ultimately be the factor to win a game? Like, do you think a person that has like all the attendance like LeBron James, like the Cleveland Cavaliers, where their 2s, 3s, and 4s are strong, that they'll be able to win a chip instead of the 1?
That's actually hard, because I look at point guards like Mike Conley. He's not the biggest shooter like Stephen Curry, but he has, two bigs and Zach Randolph and Mark Gasol. So,
But you got a Tony Allen that can help
yeah,
him
you got a
out.
Tony Allen too. You got a Courtney Lee, a Jeff Green too.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna look at just the point guards though.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't just look at point guards.
Yeah, you can't just rely on just your point guard.
I say
But
with
this is-
Memphis, I chose Memphis to win the chip. Anybody could go against me. You could state your opinion.
I will go against you.
Memphis won 55 games, and Memphis in the past had their breaks where they've gone up against good teams and fallen at the end. They've beaten really good teams, and I just think this is their year. You have to give them credit. 55 wins in the Western Conference is big.
I do give Memphis credit though
But-
because they're a great defensive team too.
Aren't they like the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA though, where they always keep winning, they're always in the discussion, but they never get there?
Here's the thing that worries me about.
That's how I see
Here's
it.
the thing that worries me about Memphis Grizzlies. They always make it to the Western Conference Finals, and they always end up losing. They lost to the Spurs. They lost to OKC.
Two great teams.
Is that two great teams, and it just like we always seem to make it to the conference finals, but they can never just get the job done and actually make it to the finals though. That's the only thing that scares me about the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah. Well, we just told you guys about the Eastern Conference playoffs. We're going to go on a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the Western Conference. Tonight, Dallas taking on the Rockets, looking to even up that series. We have the Clippers and the Spurs tomorrow night. Stay tuned.
You're listening to WICR.